everybody. This is Joe Joseph, and this is the DailySheeple.com's news shot. Captain Obvious strikes again at Breitbart.com as J. Scott Armstrong says fewer than 1% of papers in scientific journals actually follow the scientific method. Of course, that, is anybody out there that's watching this right now surprised to hear that? Listen to this. Fewer than 1% of papers published in scientific journals follow the scientific method. This according to Wharton School professor and forecasting expert James Scott Armstrong. He co-founded the peer-reviewed Journal of Forecasting in 1982 and the International Journal of Forecasting in 1985. He made the claim in a presentation about what he considers to be alarmism from forecasters over man-made climate change. He says, "We also go through journals and rate how well they conform to the scientific method. I used to think that maybe 10% of papers in my field were maybe useful, but now looks like maybe 0.1% follow the scientific method," said Armstrong in his presentation, which, he basically says people just don't do it anymore. They don't use it. And think about it. Why? Because normally these studies are funded by big corporations with certain interests that are relying on certain outcomes to take place. And so they will provide infinite funding and job security to these scientists out there as long as they're bringing back the results that these mega corporations, that academia, that the government is looking for. So who needs the scientific method? See, if they use the scientific method, why then it would actually be about science. But what we've come to find out over the course of time is science today is no longer science, it's dogma. It's much like all the religions out there. Dogma. It's the same thing. It's funny because one of my favorite lecturers on the subject of science and spirituality is Dr. John Lennox of Oxford University. And he says it best. Spirituality and science do not compete with one another, or they shouldn't be competing with one another. The fact that it is a result of a push to get God out of society, to get God out of science, to scrap this whole idea of intelligent creation, even though the evidence points exactly to that, to intelligent creation, to the fact that we live in a construct. So you can see why it is they do it, so that we can get people to rely on their government God versus God. And it's working. Science is doing the exact same thing. They do the bidding of the powers that shouldn't be, and in return, you get a nice paycheck, and your family lives high on the hog, and your continued funding forever and ever and ever, as long as you do their bidding. But I can tell you, henchmen scientists out there, what happens to the henchmen eventually when their usefulness runs its course? Just keep it in the back of your head. I'm Joe Joseph. This was the DailySheeple.com's news shot. I'll have it again for you real soon. Take care, everybody.